doing? I hope you're doing good. I hope you're having an amazing day. I absolutely am. I absolutely am. But you know me, I do that on purpose. How are you doing though? Tell me about you. How are you doing? How's your day? Look, where you from? I want to be all up in your business. You're the only one on here right now. Even if you were not, still be in your business. So don't let me make it seem like just because you're the only one on here, I'm in your business. But come on in, come on in, come on in. I've not been on in a while. I've not been on in a while. But we're here and we're ready. I'm so excited. I'm always excited though when I get on. I need to do it more. I'm waiting for some more people to come in before I start running my mouth, because you know me, I will do it. I will do it. I will do it. I've been working on my patience and it's gotten really good. So I'm very proud of myself. Hey, Angelia. Hey, Mama. Grand Rising. How you doing? How you doing? Where are you from? I want to know. Tell me everything. So like I said, I'm waiting for some more people to come on. But today we're going to be talking about shifting timelines. That is our topic, okay? Shifting timelines. I'm actually in the midst of a shift. And so yesterday, or the past, I guess the past 3 days, I've been really having some physical symptoms. And so I don't know if a lot of people know that physical symptoms come along when you're having a shift in timeline, a quantum leap, a paradigm shift, whatever it may be to you. So I only saw fit for us to talk about these things today. If you have any questions, feel free. This is what I'm here for. Hey, Ty. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. Hey. What are you doing? Look, and what are you doing? So, like I said, today we're going to talk about shifting timelines. I feel like when we talk about these phenomenons, we only talk about the beautiful parts of it, right? The exciting parts. And we don't really talk about the uncomfortable parts that much. So, this is what made me want to speak about this topic. Hey, Krishna. Hey, Mama. How you doing? Hey, Lily. Is this Lily? Yeah. Hey, Lily. Hey, girl. Hey. So, like I was saying, though, when we talk about this phenomenon, when we talk about shifting timelines, when we talk about quantum leaping, when we talk about paradigm shifting, we don't really talk about the uncomfortable parts. And so, like I said, this past 3 days, I've been in that uncomfortable part. And so I thought it would be a beautiful thing to talk about the whole shift in timelines in a whole. So like I said, if at any point in this conversation, if you have any questions, please feel free to jump in, let me know, and we can get into it, okay? So the first thing is, hey, Darla. Hey, Mama. I'm going to go ahead and start the lesson, okay? So the first thing is shifting timelines. Another word for shifting timelines. Hey, Isa. Oh, hi, baby. I don't know how to. Oh, Lord. Isolde, Isolde. I don't know if it's all one word. I don't want to mess it up. But hey, my love. So, shifting timelines. Another word for shifting timelines can also be a quantum leap. It can also be referred to as a paradigm shift. Okay. When it comes to a timeline shift, a timeline shift is you, the current version of yourself, integrating with a higher version of yourself. Remember, we live in multi-dimensions, right? So there is absolutely a higher state of you that currently resides, and there is a lower state of you that currently resides, and then you have your current state. At any given time in your life, you can absolutely jump between these different dimensions, okay? You can either go back or you can go forward, depending on your life, the circumstance, what you're going through is absolutely going to be the discerning factor of if you're going forward or back. Now, A quantum leap is a huge sudden increase or advance in something. A paradigm shift, the definition for a paradigm shift is a major change in how people think. Now, you know, if you change the way you think, you change your world. That is a part of changing your thought process. You change your mindset, you absolutely change your whole world. So just like I'm saying, depending on what you believe in is going to be the terminology that you're used to. So this is why I broke it down like this, okay? So everybody can understand. Now, like I said, a shifting in timelines is going to be an integration between your current self and a higher version of yourself, okay? Now, the thing about these timeline shifts is if you were not aware, okay, if you're not conscious, if you're not in alignment with spirit, a lot of times you're going to miss your signs that spirit, your guides that spirit is giving you, informing you, letting you know that you are about to have a timeline shift, a quantum leap, okay? Because spirit, the universe, God, whatever it is that you believe in is communicating to you, remember, 24/7 hours of the day. And depending on your decipher and discernment is going to discern if you're able to see these things when spirit is putting them in front of you. A lot of times these signs and wonders are going to come in the form of synchronicities, okay? It may be a number, it may be a sign, it may be a word from somebody else to you, it may be a song, but when you see these things, you should feel a tingling in your spirit, okay? This is where your intuition comes in, okay? So, like I said, it's all about having the awareness of what is going on around you. Now, I know for me personally, I can only be honest. Even though I am spiritually inclined, I am aware when I am shifting 9 times out of 10. That lower version, that lower version, that version of me that I'm having to walk away from, she always puts up a fight. So that's the thing, depending on who you are, who that lower version of yourself is, depending on your momentum and depending on where you're at in your spiritual journey, is also going to play a factor into the things that you experience in the physical when it comes to these symptoms that I was telling you about here earlier, okay? Now, you have to remember, okay, we are spiritual beings, okay? You may not be aware that you are a spiritual being yet. You may be still in your human form, and that's okay. This is where I come in, right? So, being that we are spiritual beings, we are not supposed to conform. We are supposed to be transforming. But the problem is most people walking the earth right now have not awakened. They've not come into the light yet. So a lot of the things even coming out of my mouth, a lot of people don't understand. I'm aware of that. And this is also okay. Okay? That's okay to be unaware. That's okay. But the moment that you do come into this awareness, you want to be intentional and mindful of this awareness, okay? Isolate say, I am very aware that I'm a starseed. See, I love that for you. So if you are a starseed, then you can relate to some of these things that I'm talking about, okay? Now, shifting timelines is also a part of ascension. Let me just add that little side note in right here right quick. So if you've ever had a spiritual awakening, let me say this. You're going to experience spiritual awakening more than one time. You don't have just one awakening, okay? You will always go up. You will always be required to elevate, okay? Spirit will always require you to elevate, okay? So this is where shifting timelines comes in at, because what happens is we go from one dimension to another, and the dimension that you currently sit at, right, you are aware that it is better than where you currently were residing. So you're okay in this space, right? It's comfortable. You're just getting used to it. You may be used to it already, but when spirit sees that you have mastered that level, right, when you are being obedient, when you are being disciplined, this is how you get bumped up to the next level, right? And so what happens is you don't want to leave that space, because now you know how to navigate that space. You're just getting used to being in that vessel, in that form of yourself, right? And so when these shifts come along here, it's not so easy to just give up, even though we know that letting go, right? This letting go means that you're going into the greater. So what I suggest is you be mindful of this and know that just because you're leaving this space, if it's this great in this space, how great can it be to where you're going? Keep that in mind, okay? Now, like I was saying, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, right? Hold on, let me read this baby comment. Even dying young and still learning many things, and prairie aware that I am starseed and I am awakening. I absolutely love that for you. I don't know what you meant on this first part here, so if you want to break this down to me, what does it say? Even though dying young and still learning. Well, first of all, is we all dying. Just because we breathing right now doesn't mean that we're guaranteed to be here tomorrow. So as long as you breathe and you're dying, I'm praying that you're not meaning this in the physical sense. And if you are, I'm sending you all my love, light, and beautiful vibrations your way, my love. Okay, now, like I was saying, we are spiritual beings, okay? And what happens is, this is the problem. Until you awaken, until you are born again, however it makes sense to you, you are walking around in the darkness. The external view, the world, everything in the world is a distraction. Let me say that. And so being that you are so consumed in the distraction, it doesn't allow you to go in and do the inner workings that you need to do to get into alignment with your higher self so you can go ahead and integrate. So, listen to me here. We are created to live in the invisible and bring things down to pass. This is what our life is supposed to be. We are creators. This is where heaven on earth comes in, right? This is where the understanding that everything that you experience, your reality, is a reflection of what is going on internally. Whatever you're experiencing outside of yourself is what's going on inside of yourself. Okay? Yeah, I'm alive. I got confused. No, I'm not dead. Okay. Listen, don't scare me like that now. You have me worried for a minute. So, we don't live in the external world, okay? We live, like I said, in the invisible. This is, again, why it is so hard to dwell and live in this space. Being that you're still in that human form, you are so connected to your five senses, to what you can see, hear, smell, taste, and what's the other one? See, hear, smell, taste. I don't even know what the five senses are. My God. See, let me touch them. See, hear, smell, taste, and touch. You so consumed by your five senses, by the things that are tangible, that you can't even begin to step away and go into yourself. So being that you cannot do this, what happens is you think that you are living a life and you're not living at all. You're existing, but you've not begun to live until you awaken. This is also why, let me say this, this is also why a lot of times when people do come into the awakening, it is so overwhelming and it's so scary to some people, right? If you've ever experienced a spiritual awakening, you know you have that beautiful part of it, and then you have that part where it becomes overwhelming. Right? The beauty comes in the form of being that veil is now lifted off of that third eye, that pineal gland is now activated, and you are seeing things for the first time. And so the colors, everything is just so much more vibrant, right? Everything is just so beautiful. You are just at such a peace that surpasses all understanding when you first come into your awakening, right? But then the other part of awakening is understanding and realizing that nothing is real. Not only is nothing real, you also come into the realization that everything that you've learned up to this point in your life, whether it had been taught to you by a parent, a teacher, a peer, something you learned in the streets here, but you start to understand that a lot of these things are not true. You start to begin to see that it is the blind leading the blind. Not only that, it becomes to a place where you start looking through things because everything is so, I'm going to say, fake in a sense. And so you start looking through everything. And next thing you know, you find yourself in a space where you don't know what to do, who to be around. You're uncomfortable everywhere. Not only that, you start getting your guidance and your downloads and start seeing the synchronicities. And then again, the world just opens up to you in a capacity that you've never experienced before. And then the next thing you know, you are completely overwhelmed because it can be a lot. This is why a lot of people, they start the awakening, and a lot of people revert, go on back to their old self and their old ways because it's more comfortable and it's easier there. Being in the light is not so easy. I had my spiritual awakening many years ago, probably when I was younger than when I was younger. I got used to it pretty well. Yeah, I guess I started mine about, my awakening started, I know the exact day. I'm acting like I don't know. My awakening started 3/5/2021. So I guess it's been about 4 years now. So tell me, how many awakenings have you had since we're talking about it? How many do you feel like you've had thus far? That's what I want to know. And so, like I said, a part of that awakening, it becomes overwhelming. And so a lot of people, they revert back and just go back to what they know. So again, when we talk about these types of things, there's not going to be a lot of people that can relate. There's not going to be a lot of people that you can talk to. There's not going to be a lot of people who understand. Okay? So with that being in mind, you got to understand that the world that we live in, the space that you're in now, being that you've stepped into your spiritual being, now that you're in your being and you're walking away from that human, because now you're working on that mastery, right? That's where that self-mastery comes into play. So this is having the understanding that your guidance now, your information now, you are now dealing with divinity. You are now divinely guided. You are now connected straight to source. So you can't do things the way that you were used to doing them. That's not going to work in this higher vibration of yourself. You're going to have to begin to walk away from things that you are comfortable doing. Not only things, but people, places, and habits and routines as well. The beauty of it is, though, also is when you actually have and can grasp that new mindset, right? Because what did I say earlier? You change your mindset, you change your whole world. Everything else will begin to fall into place. So once you start getting your guidance, like I'm saying, and your downloads and things like this from spirit, this is when you now begin to start doing your works down here in this 3D realm, and slowly but surely you begin to ascend and you go from dimension to dimension. Not only that, you now become creator. And so the guidance and the signs, the synchronicity, the divinity, the divine guidance and everything that you are now tapped into will give you instruction. Not only will it give you instruction, it will illuminate your path. It will show you exactly where to go and how to get there. Not only that, you will slowly start beginning to see your manifestations coming down. This is where manifesting comes from. This is where our creator comes from. You got to understand, listen to me, your imagination, daydreaming, all these beautiful things, these are tools, okay? You don't understand that. You think when you're little, we just daydream and we sit back. That is visualization. The thing about shifting timelines is, like I said, we're living in the invisible. We're living in the things that are not yet tangible yet, because you are a creator. You are a visionary. You are a seer. You are a chosen one, right? You are walking in divinity here. So when spirit gives you a vision, you bring these things to pass. You begin creating your own world. With you creating your own world, this is where your purpose comes in, and this is where fulfilling your destiny comes in. Right? But what I was trying to say here was, what was I finna tell you here? Hold on, give me a second. So this is the thing about shifting timelines. Okay, like I was talking about your imagination and your daydreaming here. Because the thing about shifting timelines is you have to assume the feeling. I've just taught y'all this. Y'all already know this. Everything starts with a thought. That thought then turns into a feeling. That feeling then turns into an emotion. An emotion is energy in motion. When you put that energy in that motion, that energy goes out. That vibration, that frequency, you are pulling back now everything that you are vibrating out of you. And when you are shifting timelines, you must assume the feeling and the position before you receive anything. The problem comes in when the external doesn't match what you cannot see yet. And this is another area and another time where people get weary in the waiting and just revert back to the old habits, the old mindset, because now you think that you are just delusional. You don't fully believe. You got to stay the course. You have to show spirit, right? This is you showing God. This is you showing spirit. This is you showing the ancestors, whatever it is that you believe in. Remember, that's not my concern. This is you showing, though, that you can have that obedience, that you have that discipline, that you have that trust and relationship between spirit. Not only that, you got to understand, when you're walking in divinity, this is you walking into your purpose, and then, like I said, into your destiny. You have to understand, the greater the level, the bigger the devil. The higher you go, the more in alignment you get, the more responsibility comes with that. Again, you're not just responsible for yourself. You are a chain breaker. You are a generational cycle bondage chain breaker and all these things. You are the one who is creating legacy for your family and your bloodline and the people behind you. You are the one breaking the cycle, creating this new rift in the atmosphere. That comes with great responsibility. So again, spirit having you in this space, you being in that uncomfortable space in the midst of your transition, in the midst of your integration, you have to be able to trust that process. to have some fight in you. Like I was saying earlier, your reality, wherever you are, whatever you're going through, whatever you experience, it cannot happen to you unless you allow it. That's the first thing. The problem is taking accountability and responsibility for your life and all that it entails. It's easier to blame whatever you're going through on somebody else, because once you blame it on somebody else, you're no longer responsible for it. It's easier to think about God in the sky and waiting for God to come down in the sky, because you don't have to be responsible for anything. That means you're not in control of your actions. No, God is not in the sky. God is in you. We are. You are, I am. Right? So again, you have to be able to take accountability and responsibility for your actions. You have to know and understand that you are not what happened to you. And I understand that things happen to us. This is a part of life. This is a part of our shaping and our molding. But you cannot allow the things that happen to you determine on who you become. Nor can you allow them to keep you in that stagnant, stuck place where there's no growth. Now, another thing about shifting timelines is, and I've told you this before, you can shift by force or by flow. Because sometimes what some people will experience is spirit will step in and totally collapse your world. So it can be all that you need. Why? Because in the midst of the signs and the synchronicities you were unaware of, and there is a calling on your life. There is something for you to do. So spirit will step in and collapse your world, tear down everything around you. This is where you have to understand. Spirit takes you to certain places on purpose. Right? Every now and then, you will find that spirit will take you to a mountaintop, right? Now, what happens on that mountaintop? When spirit takes you onto that mountaintop, this gives you elevated perspective. This allows you to look low. Sit high and look low. This gives you the insight into things. This is where I did a video about this the other day. This is how you solve problems and things of this nature. This is where you take on that elevated perspective, and it allows you to look inside of a situation instead of be inside of it. Then sometimes spirit will take you where? Into the wilderness, where you don't know what's out there. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what's happening, when it's happening, or where it's coming from. This is a test of your faith. Sometimes he'll take you to a dry, desolate place. So why? So again, it can be all that you need. There's nowhere else to pull from. There's nowhere else to go. Sometimes he'll take you down to a low, sunken place. A lot of people don't realize this, but the way up is down. So that rock bottom, you there on purpose too. But again, everything in your life happens because what? You allow it to. So at some point here, you must take some responsibility for these things in your life so you can start your healing. Until you heal, you won't be able to hear anything that is coming out of my mouth. Let's known shift the timeline. Okay? There's going to be several things that spirit is going to require of you in this journey. Okay? Every day is not going to look the same when you walk in the spiritual journey. Being in your spiritual life and being in that human life are two different things. So you can't, this is the thing. You got to pick a side. Okay? You got to pick a side. So, like I was saying, in the midst of you trying to pick your side, if you're unable to pick your side, like I said, spirit will come in and collapse your whole world. And he'll take you to there's no nobody knows where he's going to take you to, but this is why you find yourself, like I said, on that mountaintop or in that desolate land, in the wilderness, in that low space here. Spirit takes you to these places to be in solitude on purpose. This is where your molding comes in. This is where that connection comes in. This is how you plug yourself in. Remember, you have to tune out. Spirit can't do what it needs to do as long as you're in all engulfed in that external world and what everybody else is doing, and we're going to the club and, you know, doing all the things and all the activities and all. No, that's not how it works. So elevation absolutely requires separation. So if you find yourself in one of these places we just talked about, understand that that is on purpose. If I were you, I would, you know, there's going to be moments again where you're on this journey and you find yourself by yourself. Again, spirit does the best work when it has your full attention. But I think that when you find yourself in these places, think about the fact that spirit, God, the universe, your ancestors, whatever, is so invested in you that it is singling you out and requiring you to even have that time. Because there's not many. Again, there's not many. Many are called, but few are chosen, right? We know that. Oh, my earring fell off. Hold on. So, you know, in those low moments, keep those kind of things in mind, okay? Hey, baby. What are you doing, son? That looks like my son is on here. What you doing, boo? So, okay, keep these things in mind. Remember, you are creator, right? You are creator. Now, if you do come into the awareness that you are shifting timelines, make sure that you're paying attention to those signs and the guides, the synchronicity, and all these things here. It'll make your transition a whole lot easier. But like I said, it doesn't matter how many times I shift timelines. She always fights. But then again, you know, that comes along with who I am as a person, right? That's that warrior in me. So I guess if she didn't, I'd be worried. But she thinks she's fighting, but she's always in surrender mode, right? But it's just those last little things that you feel like you need to get out. When you start experiencing, like I was saying, some of these physical symptoms that come with the shifting of the timelines. Oh, my mom just called me. I'm sorry. Threw me all off track. Threw my thought process off. When you start experiencing these physical symptoms that come with the shifting of the timelines, like I said, everybody doesn't experience physical symptoms when they're ascending, when they're shifting timelines, when they're having a spiritual awakening and things of this nature. A lot of people do. I'm one of the people who absolutely do. And so depending on like I said, your momentum, depending on your level of awakening, I think it also plays into the severity of your physical symptoms, okay? Now, a few of those physical symptoms are, I'm just going to mention a few to you real quick, but like I was saying, one of them is body aches, random aches and pains. They may not last long, but they come and go just sporadically. You have the problems with the gut, okay? Just stomach issues, okay? Rashes on the skin in random places, a sensitivity to your skin. Fatigue, having big bouts of fatigue, wanting to be in solitude, just wanting to be by yourself and with spirit. Loss of appetite, not being wanting a lot of heavy, dense food. A loss of attention, your attention span kind of goes away too. You don't have You're not interested in a lot of things that you're normally interested in and stuff like that. And then one last one I'll mention real quick is, you know, beautiful bursts of energy, right? You might find moments of that you have random bursts of energy. Another thing I'm going to say real quick is emotions, right? You may be just experiencing different emotions. And this is because, again, this is the lower you. This is a mourning, okay? Think of it like that, as a mourning. And that's okay to mourn yourself. It absolutely is okay to mourn yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But like I said, in the midst of that, try to hold on to that fact, right? And that faith and that knowing, that feeling that the things that you are letting go of are not required where you're going. Those things are no longer an asset to you. You don't need these things anymore, okay? So you're not losing anything. You have to keep in mind that whenever something new ends, something new begins. So every time something new is going away, I mean, every time something is going away, that means something better is coming your way. You just have to, again, trust the process. Okay, let me see. I guess one little last note, one little last thing we'll talk about right quick is, I think I already mentioned to you, but like I was saying earlier, depending on your momentum will also play a part on this timeline shift. Oh yeah, like I said, the greater the level, the bigger the devil. So your sacrifices and things that you have to part with do become bigger, okay? Along the way, along the levels of this thing, they absolutely do become bigger. But that's because this journey requires what? Discipline, obedience, and it is a great responsibility. Spirit has to absolutely know that it can trust you with these things that are going to be put in your hands. Remember, blessings come through you, miracles come through you. You are blessed to be a blessing. When you get these things, when Spirit gives you these things, they're not for you. They're for the greater good, right? Yes, you will be blessed by them as well, but they're not for you. It is for you to leave legacy, right? It is for you to break generational chains, bondages, and things of this nature. Now, like I had mentioned earlier, you have to pick a side. And I say this because, like I said, the mastery, right, is a balance between your human and your being. Now, the thing about it is, once you go into your spiritual being here, you can't keep playing in the light and the dark, right? You do need some things that you learned in that darkness, so you keep those things with you, right? But initially, you're at some point here, eventually you're going to have to pick a side. And so the thing about being a spiritual warrior is, you know, you have to be flexible, right? You have to be adaptable. Because when these shifts and things come in, when Spirit has something that is needed for you to do and all this stuff here, you have to be able to step up to the plate, whether you're fighting or not. But you have to be ready to perform at all times. Okay? So like they say, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Because Spirit can have you do something in the morning, the day, the night. And again, Spirit doesn't give you a full set of directions a lot of times. It just gives you pieces, and it's up to you to put it all together and bring these things to pass. So, listen. I want to end this with I wanted to say something here, but I guess I might save it for next time. But so listen, if you have experienced any of these things that we just talked about or are currently going through them, you may be going through a shift in timelines. Now, the thing that I wanted to leave you with is, this is what I wanted to leave you with. It just came back to me now. I need you to remember that there is a battle going on for you all day long, okay? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare right now is at an all-time high, okay? So I encourage you really and truly to spend some time with yourself, sit with yourself, and figure out what side you're on, because we're getting ready to go into some times here. And well, like I said, you want to be ready so you don't have to get ready. Not only that, you want to be available so spirit can lead you and guide you into the place where you can be in case you needed to fight. Okay, I love you guys. Have an awesome day. Thank you for being here. I will see you guys next week, 6 o'clock Tuesday, same time. Enjoy the rest of your day. But what do I want you to absolutely do for the rest of your day? Bye bye.